We're here today to announce federal charges in a years-long investigation into one of the largest professional money laundering operations this state has ever seen, operated primarily out of Sumter, South Carolina. Here in our own backyard, the defendants in this case successfully laundered over $30 million in illegal drug proceeds. They offered their services to drug dealers across the Southeast, from whom they would purchase large amounts of cash. They would then use those drug proceeds to purchase and ship electronics to destinations in China and the Middle East, and use those transactions to conceal the illegal source of their funds. The defendants charged in this case include Nasir Ullah, a 28-year-old man residing in Sumter, Naim Ullah, a 32-year-old man residing in Sumter, and Paquan Wong, a 49-year-old man residing in Burford, Georgia. The court documents today, unsealed, allege that these three men, along with other co-conspirators, traveled across the United States to collect substantial amounts of cash they knew to be drug proceeds. They are further accused of coordinating with individuals in China to launder that cash through complex financial transactions designed to obscure the origin of those funds. These actions amount to the federal charge of conspiracy to commit money laundering, which comes with a maximum penalty of 20 years in prison. Money laundering is the backbone of criminal enterprise. It enables drug trafficking organizations to purchase and distribute fentanyl and other drugs to devastating effect. When we target those who launder drug money, we strike at the very heart of these operations. All of the agencies represented here today serve different communities in South Carolina, where the defendants conducted their illegal operations. The defendants collected drug money in York County, Richland County, Sumter County, and Charleston County. They transported cash from across the state and stored it at 2 business properties in Sumter while they worked to hide their trail through foreign transactions. There'll be more to share in time about the nature of this offense, but I want to stress that this crime in many ways tells a story of the evolving nature of crime in a global marketplace. The defendants' actions were both local and international. They dealt in U.S. currency and Chinese currency. Their sophistication presented a challenge to law enforcement, but I'm proud to say it's a challenge we have overcome. And as they evolve, we have evolved too. I want to commend the dedicated work of DEA and our local law enforcement partners. I also want to particularly thank Assistant U.S. Attorney and Senior Litigation Counsel Everett McMillan, along with trial attorneys Mary Daly and Jasmine Fashimi from the Money Laundering and Asset Recovery section of the DOJ Criminal Division. Their meticulous work has been instrumental in bringing forth these charges. I want to thank you all for being here today, and at this time I'll turn it over to Assistant Special Agent in Charge Mike Tooley of the DEA.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here today. My name is Michael Tooley, and I'm Assistant Special Agent in Charge for the United States Drug Enforcement Administration, and I oversee the state of South Carolina. I want to begin today by thanking Acting United States Attorney for putting this together today and for his office's support for this investigation. I also want to thank the Department of Justice, the Money Laundering and Asset Recovery section, for their support of this investigation and taking us across the finish line here today. I also want to thank and applaud the men and women of the DEA throughout South Carolina for their extraordinary efforts, as well as our dedicated federal, state, and local counterparts that work with us each day, hand in hand, that are also represented us here today in this room. Beginning in September 2024, the DEA Charleston Resident Office, which is comprised of deputized state and local officers, as well as DEA special agents, began investigating the leadership elements of Mexico's 2 dominant drug cartels, the Cartel Jalisco New Generation, or CJNG, and the Sinaloa Cartel. Both of those organizations have been designated as foreign terrorist organizations. Over the course of this investigation, agents identified a large-scale and complex money laundering network operating throughout South Carolina and elsewhere to launder millions of dollars in drug proceeds, which have been traced to the sale of multi-kilogram quantities of both fentanyl and cocaine, as well as both marijuana and heroin. These defendants indicted worked for a sophisticated money laundering organization that laundered at least $30 million in drug proceeds related to the illegal distribution of fentanyl and cocaine, which were unlawfully imported into the United States, typically through Mexico. The defendants operated a series of storefronts in Sumter, South Carolina, which were used to facilitate an international trade-based money laundering scheme. The investigation revealed members of this organization traveled throughout the Southeast and picked up drug proceeds multiple times per week and brought those drug proceeds back into the state of South Carolina. The defendants also received millions of dollars in drug proceeds at the storefronts in South Carolina, in Sumter, and used this drug money to purchase electronic devices, which were then repackaged and shipped to Hong Kong, China, and the United Arab Emirates to then be resold. This case demonstrates our ability to leverage every tool available to us and aggressively attack and dismantle dangerous drug trafficking and money laundering organizations operating in South Carolina, across the United States, and abroad. We are using every authority and resource available to keep these dangerous networks, these criminals, and the poison they distribute off of our streets, out of our community, and out of our country. We at DEA consider a lethal dose of fentanyl to be 2 milligrams, which is roughly the size of the tip of a sharpened pencil. To put this into perspective, one seizure listed in the indictment of approximately $177,000 of illicit drug proceeds has the potential to purchase 7 kilograms of powdered fentanyl. 1 kilogram of powdered fentanyl has the potential to kill 500,000 individuals, or 7 kilograms of fentanyl has the potential to kill 3.5 million people, more than half of the population of South Carolina. Powdered fentanyl is commonly mixed with other substances, which is then pressed into illicit pills made to resemble legitimate prescriptions. Current information that DEA has is that approximately 5 out of 10 illicit pills that are seized and analyzed by DEA contain a lethal or fatal dose of fentanyl. The success of this investigation is due in large part to the strong partnerships across federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies and the prosecutors with which we work with on a daily basis. The success is also about sending a very clear message. If you traffic fentanyl, cocaine, or other illicit narcotics, and if you launder legal drug proceeds, or you work with a foreign terrorist organization or drug cartel, we will hold you accountable. Thank you all very much.
We'll take a few questions. We're going to be a little bit limited, as we always are, on indictment, but we're happy to try to answer a few if you have any.
Are any more arrests coming, you think?
We can't speak to that right now.
Could you give the names of the storefronts in Sumter by chance that were used?
I don't know if I have that information or if we have that information available. Not right now. Thank you.
Was there any particular link to Sumter for these folks, or is it just someone that they chose to run their operation out of?
I can't answer that one either. I'm sorry.
Can you put the size of this operation into perspective compared to perhaps other money laundering schemes that you've come across in other states and other territories?
I would say for a scheme of this nature, which is to say a professional money laundering organization where these people, in fact, had a dedicated business enterprise of just laundering money, this is certainly one of the largest we've seen in South Carolina.
Has there been any collaboration with your counterparts overseas, foreign counterparts like in China or in Mexico during the course of this operation or at this point?
I can't speak to that at this time.
You said that there were some $30 million laundered. Was that sent to China or China and Mexico?
The nature of the scheme was such that the money was laundered primarily through sales of electronics, most of which went to China. That's correct.
Now, there are 1.4 billion people in China. Do you have the names of any Chinese people or businesses who might have received that money?
I can't speak to that at this time, John. Yeah.
Or cities, Wuhan, Shanghai, Beijing?
No, don't have that. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you all.